If this is a surprise, it's just you and I, Ryan.
Yeah. Just have a vacant. That would be awesome. We just had like
Talking to a vacant space.
between two ferns with Matthew Puckett.
Sorry. Okay, I'm back.
Well, hey Matthew, how's it going?
Hey Ryan, doing pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. So we're here with season 2, and I don't know about you. I personally have been been here at Microsoft for 12 years, and I think it's an awesome place to work. I know you've been here for a little bit less, but but
just 3. I mean, it's not that big of a deal.
that's a good tenure. But we today, because we're lucky enough to be on a team where we get to do some pretty cool stuff with customers. We'll talk a little bit about that, and it's growing. So we're hiring a lot more of you and I. If that could be had, that we're actually doing. I don't know if the world needs more of that. But to that note, we've brought with us today, or brought in a guest, Emily from our recruiting and global talent acquisition team. So Emily, hello.
Hey guys. Hi. Thanks for having me.
Oh,
yeah, no problem.
Thanks for showing up.
Half the battle.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah. So I like I was saying that I know we're adding a lot more technical talent and technical sellers and many different roles here at Microsoft. And I know that you're one of the individuals here in the U.S. responsible for trying to find those. So thought we'd bring you on to kind of talk a little bit more about some of the openings, how what you guys look for, what stands out on resumes, what sorts of things people can do to maybe get recognized or noticed for some of the openings we have, and that sort of thing. So maybe we can click down into that as we go on today.
Sure. Yeah. So we're hiring 200 plus cloud solution architects. They come in 4 flavors, as I'm sure you know. We have infrastructure, app dev, data platform, and analytics and AI. So 4 different flavors that could overlap. So keep in mind that you could see one and think, oh, I'm a little bit of this, a little bit of that. But all of that would be hashed out, through the interview process. And so we have 200 plus all in the U.S. enterprise commercial team and also public sector. So we've been focusing really hard on getting those people through interview and obviously application, which is the first step. But application, interview, and finally, hopefully, an offer.
Okay, nice. So you say public sector. I know just for audience that doesn't really know what that means. It's the state and local government, our federal customers and that sort of thing, right? Okay.
Correct. Yeah, and education as well.
Oh, and okay. All right. So you mentioned a number of different flavors of cloud solution architects, and I'm assuming that count is across all of the U.S. Is there any particular geography that we're targeting more heavily than others, or is it pretty much universal?
So you could expect to see a lot in the major metropolitan areas and also the secondary ones. The really cool thing that's happening for us is we have constant openings. And so whether it's a new investment or something causing someone to move around internally that creates a backfill. So you'll see one position, but behind it there's so many. So you'll see them listed in some locations. Some might have other listed in the job description. But they're multiple locations. We are currently running massive interview days because we're hiring at scale like this, and because the need is so great. We want to make sure that we're efficiently moving people through the process. And so we have 7 assessment centers. We have one in NorCal, SoCal, North Central, South Central, Atlanta, New York City, and Reston.
Okay.
These interviews are taking place in our Microsoft Technology Centers. And so all those different 4 flavors of CSA applicants, they're going to go through these assessment centers, and they're going to interview one time for many jobs. So rather than fly the candidate to this group and that group, and they're going to have to meet this batch of people and this batch of people, we're trying to get them all in one place to make it convenient for the candidate to be considered for many.
Okay. So what sorts of things do you look for? When somebody finds an opening on the Microsoft Careers website and it's something they think that they might have some amount of expertise or some amount of their skill set lends itself nicely to be able to for them to apply and be considered for that role. What sorts of things would you guys look for them to kind of stand out or be considered or be invited to one of these interview centers that or interview activities that are going on across the country?
Sure. So I should clarify the invite to the interview centers. That does happen with a technical phone screen. And you'd never guess, but I am a layman, not a CSA. So, and if you ever talk to a recruiter, you can probably bet that they don't know what you do a day in the life. But we have a general idea. We have a list of things to look for. We have an amazing talent sourcing team. So there's recruiters, and there's talent sourcers, and we're both evaluating candidates for these positions. Now, the difference is the talent sourcers, like your hunter, they go out and they generate interest where there previously was none. So you're a cloud solution architect, you're plugging away, and we're disrupting your day saying, come and work for us. So that's what the talent sourcer does. And then the recruiter will process all of the applicants, the people who apply to the position, anyone who was referred, any internal candidates that we have for consideration. So what we look for in general is basically what we're told to look for, which you can find on the job descriptions. So each of the qualifiers have the experience required for that particular role. Generally speaking, you do have to have some cloud experience. We are hiring some I would say more senior level positions. We also do have junior level positions as well that only require a little bit of cloud experience. But for the most part, these high potential accounts are going to have people with 5+ at least years of experience.
So I'm an individual that has Java expertise, or maybe I'm a Linux systems administrator or systems programmer on the Linux platform using PHP and Python.
That's a quiz.
Yeah.
See, Ryan, she just
app dev.
So app dev. So
right, there you go.
You're not the word Microsoft is not on any of those technologies. So what I mean today, with those traditionally might have been things, bits of expertise that we might have explored or been more heavily leaning towards a candidate that might have had some of that expertise. Is that from my from looking at Azure, we're much more embracive of some of those capabilities. So somebody is hesitant thinking, well, gee, I've not done anything using a Microsoft platform in quite some time. Would that be something that should disqualify them, or should they go ahead and submit their resume and move forward, or see if?
So Azure's on the wish list, but it's not a requirement. If we're really looking at what Satya drives at Microsoft as a whole, it's diversity. And so if we all come in knowing the same thing, we're probably going to get the same results. It's really good and critical that we hire people with competitive experience as well to come in and say, this is how this works, this is how we've done it here. So all diversity of thought, it just comes in so many different forms and fashions. And some of that is through your work experience. Some of it's where you grew up, and some of it's where you came from. So diversity could be in anything.
But
yeah.
What she's saying is, I had a shot. I still have a shot. I still say to CSA. I love it. It's great.
We're still working on your
Well, great things take time, right?
Like a fine wine.
Yeah.
Okay, we got to move on.
Anyway, so Emily, you definitely hit the nail on the head for what I was kind of highlighting, is that some of those diverse technical backgrounds are definitely things that are advantageous to have, just because Azure is capable of interoperating with a lot of those different capabilities. So those are I know that I've talked with a lot of customers that are even surprised. Oh my goodness, your developer tools work with Java. Who knew? So yeah, it's definitely a cool place to be now.
Yeah, it's Oh yeah.
No, go ahead and you finish your thought first.
Oh, I was going to say it's a much cooler place to be at Microsoft now than it was a few years ago, and that's a really common sentiment from the candidates, and that's okay. It's okay that we weren't cool, but we're cool now, and we're helping other people be cool.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's very true.
Yeah.
So I have a question for follow on with part of your skill sets and the things that you're looking for. Other than technical skills, are there other soft skills that you guys are interested in as part of a good quality CSA candidate?
Soft skills is it's a sensitive subject. What I'll say is functional skills. So functionally, these people, you people, are in front of the clients. And so there's got to be some ability to communicate with the client, not just in a language that's important to you, the CSA, but also to the client. So you have to be able to talk to the technical people at the client, yes, but you're also going to have to translate things to people who are less technical. So you have to have that ability. The other thing is too, we see a lot of people come from pre-sales that have the same technical background and experience, but maybe they've been on that more salesy side of the fence where they're trying to persuade people to buy something. Now, cloud solution architects, from my understanding, they're there to ensure consumption, to make sure that the customer gets their problem solved. It doesn't matter how much we've sold them, how much we want to sell them. That's just a side effect.
No, that's a good point. We are definitely probably not part of the sales motion, but we're definitely there to help the customer enjoy the experience, right? So that's a good way to put it. Yep.
I like the way you describe that, functional
I did too.
skills. Yeah, because
This is a touchy.
It's important to scale your conversation accordingly, and that's definitely a unique skill, or not really unique, but something that requires some practice. So a practice skill would probably be a way to.
I'm working on it. Yep.
Yeah. So anytime, I was going to say too, something to highlight. People think, oh, I've never been in front of a customer, I'll never get a shot. But there's internal customers too. You guys, I'm sure you know that. So if you've worked at an organization inside, you had to influence departments to move to the cloud or whatever.
Yeah, that's another good call out. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, I'm pretty bullish on our future and all the things that we've done even historically. Realizing we've made some pretty massive changes over the past couple of years. But I think that just talking about Microsoft in general as a place to work, I think that it's a really cool place, and maybe we could talk a little bit about that. Outside of just doing cool things, working with the latest technologies, getting some inside scoop of what's coming and being able to help customers solve problems. I mean, that's all cool stuff. But then you look at the outs as an outsider looking in too, and exploring some of the other things we do, like in our communities, and I know our technology center here in the Detroit area does a lot of things, with the Detroit Public Schools and different community outreach programs, career development for students, and those sorts of things I think are really cool. So it's more than just a day of the year that we do those things. That we're doing them all the time. So I just think it's a really cool thing to maybe mention. I don't know if you had any thoughts or opinions on some of that kind of stuff, just from some of the other non-technical aspects of working at Microsoft.
Yeah, totally. I mean, Microsoft is an amazing place to work. My family brags about it. They're so excited that I work here. My mom used to think it was like the biggest deal ever. And there's like a sense of pride, I guess, you get in working here. And I'm relatively new too, so you can pick on me too, Ryan. But I just celebrated my 1 year, but I've been a vendor here.
So congratulations.
Thank you. So I went through this really recently, like just kind of feeling what it feels like to be a part of something bigger. And I supported Microsoft as a vendor for 2.5, 3 years. Okay. But the benefits are amazing. The charitable donations, we do charitable matches for, I believe it's up to, you can't quote me. It's a 25 to 35. I can't remember the exact number, but we do match what you donate in the community. We have, like you said, really large company initiatives. We have an entire team dedicated to giving, Microsoft Give, I think it's called. And you can get really involved, especially if you're in Redmond too. There's some extra things going on in Redmond where all the action is. But yeah, to your point, it's an amazing place to be. It's worth bragging about.
Yeah.
When I came on, that was probably one of the things that struck out to me the most was how much the company encourages you. It's not that they do it themselves, but they really encourage you to seek it out yourself, right? So, go find those opportunities, go find that cause that you're interested in. And you're right, my family does a lot of bragging as well. It's like, look who he works for. I'm like, shh, we don't want people to know. That whoever figures it out, I might be gone. Who knows, But no, it is definitely a strikingly different culture than what I've been used to over 27 years. And so, I'm glad I'm one of the cool kids now. I hope is what some kids, they don't think I'm cool, but yeah.
Yeah, it is. So a little confession. My brother works here too. So my mom's really proud.
Okay. She's like, I got two.
Yeah. I'm like, Mom, there's thousands and thousands of people that work.
There's only two that I care about, and those are you.
Yeah, the other thing I would say, inclusivity. So working at Microsoft, whatever you think it is, I mean, you can just shatter that and be yourself and go for what you want to go for. We have an accessibility program as well. So any accommodations that need to be made for individuals that have disabilities. And it's an amazing place to be. And you can come here and you can be whoever you want to be. Mm-hmm. No matter what, and have fun doing it. So we do embrace, you guys know, you look like you work from home. I do too, but when you're in the offices, you can dress casually and just be yourself and dye your hair pink. And
It's kind of interesting to go through some of the local campuses or regional campuses rather. Definitely see a definite interesting, display of personality. So very embracive of different ways of thinking and cultures. And I think that's a good thing. I mean, you get lots of different opinions and ideas and schools of thought. So that's good.
In Miami, we have salsa music at the cafeteria. So
you do what? You have salsa music?
Well, Fort Lauderdale. Yeah, the LATAM Fort Lauderdale headquarters is in Fort Lauderdale.
Really?
So they play. Yeah. Yep. And we have obviously English as the business language, but down in Fort Lauderdale, it's all Spanish. So. All Spanish speaking, so.
Nice.
Yeah.
So Ryan, I can't imagine what it would be up there. What is it, corn, and what would be y'all's kind of shtick up in Detroit?
In Detroit? Cars.
Or would it be cart?
Yeah.
You have a lot of Fords.
No high occupancy vehicle lane, and we want everybody on the
road. Bad water
wouldn't
be part of that?
With the biggest, most gas-guzzling vehicle you could get, and drive it with one person.
I'm hearing Holiday Road in my head right now. So, perfect.
So I mean, I don't know if you have anything else, Emily, that you'd like to highlight or suggest, or I think it's or any other roles outside. I know that Matthew and I are cloud solution architects, and that's where we have quite a few hundred openings. If there's any other areas that in particular that we're looking for talent in, or
sure. So I guess
not new show personalities. We've got that covered. I know that's not going to be a position open anytime soon.
Exactly.
Because again, season 2. So.
I think this is full of personality, and then you have all you need right here too. So
perfect. Hey Ryan, she's now number 3. We'll just help her do our little shows. Posting.
Sure.
Exactly.
I can whiteboard. I can draw.
Perfect. Yeah. You won't be a layman for long.
Yes. Yeah. It's a good question, Ryan. We're not only hiring CSAs, and if you have the background for a CSA, you might not only want to be a CSA. You could be a technical solutions professional, which is our fancy name for a pre-sales engineer. You could be an actual seller. If selling is near and dear to your heart, you can be a solution sales professional. I think the way that I describe it with hand motions and everything when I'm on the phone, the CSA fits into the sales org. Describing the roles in the sales org, I tell people to think of it in 3 buckets. So if you have your account team unit, which we call the ATU, your solution team unit, which is your STU, and then your customer success unit, which is your CSU. And the account team, the way I describe that is that we've got our sellers, our quarterback sellers. Those are the ones that go in and they sell it all. They work alongside a pre-sales engineering counterpart that we call account technology strategists. Real senior level folks having high level conversations in the C-suite. They are the sales counterpart. So we've got account executives that do the selling and account technology strategists that do that pre-sales piece. Okay. In the STU, we have the solution sales professional, so they are selling very specific products. If you think about the rays of the sun, each of those rays being a product line. So,
I'm stealing that. I am so stealing that.
So what do we have?
We've got way of kind of distilling down how we work with customers.
It was beautiful. All right, good.
Isn't it? Picture the rays of the sun.
It's great.
4 rays. This is what I do with the hand motions and everything. You should see me on the phone. So what do we have? Those 4 areas, guys, help me out. We have modern workplace. We have dynamics. We have what do we call that? Apps and infrastructure, but we call it something intelligent. Apps and infrastructure. And then, did I get data platform yet?
Yeah. No, we did not. No, that's the other one. Yeah.
So then each of the
I feel like I need to pull the whiteboard out. Yeah.
They sell that specific solution, and then they have their technical solutions professional, which is their pre-sales counterpart. And then the customer success unit, you guys, I'm sure you can't do it without your CSMs, right?
Yeah.
So they are your functional counterpart, the customer success manager. So there's a technical and a non-technical touch point for the client.
Okay.
That's it.
Awesome.
All right.
Yeah, and if you want to see where the roles are, the career site at Microsoft. And so when you visit there, the most important thing to do is create yourself a profile. If you already have one created, then log into your Action Center. Once you get that set up, you can sign up for alerts. You can search for jobs. You can be recommended by people that work at Microsoft that you know.
Yep.
Okay.
So all of it is done through a pretty intelligent piece of technology that we use in talent acquisition, which is not a Microsoft product.
Hey, but see, that shows inclusivity. We use other stuff too. That's fine.
That's right. Yep. All right. Well, very cool. Well, thank you very much for coming. I think this is some great information, and hopefully we'll get a bunch of applicants. I think this is a really cool place to work. Get to, like I said, do some fun stuff, work with awesome technology, get to visit some of the the data center facilities that not many people get to go to. Got to take some customers there and get to see some really cool things. And I think it goes without saying, some of the stuff we talked about, the other, softer perks and benefits of working here. I know me personally, I'm a coach or a mentor in a robotics team. They actually get funding for every hour I work. So it amounts to a lot of money. It adds up quickly. So
I love robots. I used to work for a medical device company that created a surgical robot.
Oh, really?
I don't know who that is. I don't know that at all. That's very cool, though.
No, it's not who you think it is, I bet.
Oh, of course not. You just totally ruined my Friday. Thanks.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Well, thanks, guys.
Well, thanks so much for being on. And
thank you.
Yeah, and maybe we'll have you on again, the next round of hiring that we go through.
That's right.
If you're lucky.
Season 3.